Joining me now is legal analyst Wendy Patrick. Wendy, thank you for being with us this morning. It is just maddening to watch this all happen for these families. What message does this send on a larger scale about what you can and cannot say?
On a larger scale, it really does send a message. And I know sometimes people think that it's a symbolic message because there's, of course, a huge issue as to how much money the plaintiffs can collect. But the messaging is clear. Justice has been delayed for the families of these victims, but not denied. The hammer fell this week. This is the largest defamation judgment, and whether or not the plaintiffs end up seeing all of the money or a substantial portion of the money, the message it's sent is just about how despicable it is to really take politics to this level. This should not be in any sense, and I'm sure Alex Jones agrees with this at this point. In fact, I know he does, because remember, that's what he testified to in the last trial, that this was not a hoax, this was real, and the re-traumatization of these families that has been going on again and again every time one of Alex Jones's trials enters the courtroom. You just can't put a price tag on human suffering. But that's part of what the jury is trying to do, is at least compensate some of these families for the extent of their loss.
Well, and what will they actually be compensated? I mean, how much money does he have, and will they see any?
Well, the interesting question there is it's hard to tell, because remember, he declared bankruptcy with his company, but personally, how much is he worth? Personally, what type of assets does he have that they can attach? Of course, they're looking very closely to make sure he doesn't transfer anything, but they really want to be able to take a broad look at what they can collect and how. But I do have to say, sadly, patience is a virtue. The wheels of justice turn slowly in a case like this, and it may be quite a while as we work through the appeals process to see what, if anything, each of those families are going to receive.
And Jones's attorneys disappointed by the verdict, and also saying that this was a bad day for free speech. So on the other side of this, how do you expect them to appeal?
You know, it's interesting. They're going to appeal and claim that the damage award was patently excessive, that it shouldn't have been as high as it was. They really do want to make this more of a case about the issues than their client. And they've made that very clear. And you know what that does? It gives them a bit of credibility in basically saying, this isn't about Alex Jones. It's about the conduct, the tortious conduct that he's accused of. By distancing themselves from the person, they're focusing on the case and the claim and the elements. And that's what they're going to use for the basis of their appeal. But they run into some roadblocks, because sometimes, you know, awards can only be limited under certain circumstances in different states. So they're bound by what each state, remember, this is happening in several different states, this is just the latest, what each state will allow.
Wendy, Alex has already gone on his show and said he wants to fight the fraud. He's asking for his listeners to donate money so that he can continue to fight this. Statements like that, obviously concerning for a lot of people. What precedent does this set, and could those comments on his podcast now hurt him in future legal battles?
I think all his comments are hurting him in future legal battles, because remember, they're being rebroadcast every time he goes to trial. But you bring up a larger concern, the style of politics that he popularized. What's going to happen with that? Will this send a message to others that would exploit human tragedy? That's one of the big policy concerns that sort of undergirds this type of a case. One can only hope that others will not follow in his footsteps, and one can also hope that Alex Jones himself will be humbled at some point by this verdict, as he showed at least a glimmer of when he testified in his last trial, certainly not this one.
It doesn't appear so, at least not in the immediacy of the verdict now. Wendy, thank you. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.